Andy, I have to say, I listened to the pod on Friday, and I thought you did a good job there. You going solo, talking about people's nuts. I mean,
Yeah,
what a better way to start a weekend than to have a good podcast. So
that's what I'm
thank
saying. The Silver Surfer and bull balls in my mouth. That's the kind of content we want to bring to America, Dave. That's what
you.
Gen X and the rest of the nation needs to hear.
I do enjoy that Silver Surfer line and the Fantastic Four movie where they had the Silver Surfer in it. I thought those were underappreciated, decent movies.
Yeah.
Um, And I know you like the remakes with Michael B. Jordan and such. I did not like that one at all. I thought that was awful. But I was watching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse. Yes, it was on cable, so I just happened to be passing through it last night. Um, and they had John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic on there,
Yeah.
and I always thought that was a good one. And now they have a whole new cast going, so whatever
Yeah.
that's going on. I don't know how we got. I wasn't planning on Andy. We had so many topics to get to. I wasn't planning on talking Marvel topics
Just
today.
slide it in though. Sneak in a little bit of Marvel. You know what I mean? Again, Silver Surfer, worth talking about. I mean, to be honest, worth first thing Marvel movie worth talking about in a while, perhaps. But Dave, we're not here to talk about that one today. I think we
Yeah.
covered that Friday. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your time away. It was not the same without you.
Well, I appreciate that for sure, Andy. And we went to Charleston. It was a nice town. It really, really, I think it gets a lot of those top 10 lists or whatever, but still, I think it's underappreciated because it's a great town to go to. A lot of great history there, beach in addition. So a lot of fun time. And my daughter's lacrosse team did really well down there too. So it was fun. So, but Andy, a lot of other topics to get to. It's solar eclipse day today, Andy.
It is. Are
So
you feeling strange at all? Do you feel like you should? I mean, do you want to like? I don't know. What do strange things people do during the eclipse? Are you gonna like howl at the moon? Are you gonna run around naked in the town? Like
I
what's
was
gonna
gonna
be
say
going on?
going streaking through Uptown is probably gonna be one of it, but we'll see. But
See, now I'm picturing Will Ferrell running naked down the street because anytime you mention streaking, that's one of the first images that comes to my mind. That and for those who remember Three's Company, there's an
oh
episode
yeah.
that involved streaking. If you don't remember Three's Company, I'm sorry, you're missing out because John Ritter and that cast were just phenomenal. But yeah, so hey, are you going streaking today then? Is that your plan?
I,
Little
I think that's probably going to be the plan between. I think it comes to like what is it, like 1:45 and 3:45 or something, whatever the time window is. We should have a pretty good view of it here. I
yeah,
know a couple people who are actually going places to see it. I'm like, well, you can probably just see it from. I mean, I think in Charlotte here, we're going to have a pretty good view of the whole thing
yeah.
here. But I know a lot of people are out there. A lot of people are doing parties, taking trips. Anti-conspiracy theories abound about this. There's
No, what? No. What?
yeah,
No. Come on.
it's crazy to think, Andy, but people are actually reading more into a solar eclipse than probably possible.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of different things. This path of this solar eclipse will take you over the town of Nineveh, United States, somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 times, and that's a magical number. And Andy, if you remember, if you hearken into the Bible, Nineveh was where Job was supposed to go to save those lost souls and did not. I didn't think there was anything about a solar eclipse in the Bible though about with regards to Job, but maybe I'm missing that one or something.
I think it's Jonah, Dave. I think we're thinking of good
Oh,
old
Jonah, you're
Jonah,
right. I'm sorry,
right?
Jonah.
Yeah. So perhaps the big fish will jump onto land, consume a few conspiracy theorists. Who knows? Who knows where it's going to go? But yeah, it's amazing the amount of effort and energy put into some of these conspiracy theories. It's like when you talk about criminal activity. You're like, if they would only use their power for good. Same thing with some of these conspiracy theories. It's like you've dived into this so deeply, like you're so far under. Like if you use that effort towards something productive, how much better would we all be? Like this
Yeah.
is this is this is not the biblical sign of the end of the world. Solar eclipses happen all the time. They just don't happen over North America all the time. But people love to go nuts in what they're believing, and this is why people mock so many people of faith because you've got loonies that like want to suggest things like this.
Yeah, I feel stupid for thinking Job versus Jonah, Andy,
I,
but
I, I
then
didn't mean to
yes,
cause you an embarrassment. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
that's okay. But it is absolutely true. It's like the same thing with QAnon, right? Like all of these people have all of these narratives and connections, and they've done all this analysis and research. maybe use that to save some sort of social problem or to work on some other matter that's important and not about the deep state and all the Pizzagate activities and
Don't,
how.
don't ram your car into the FBI gate in Atlanta because you're believing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah,
just throwing things that, just throwing ideas out there, like more constructive, like pick up paper mache, make some nice paper mache products with that energy,
yeah, yeah.
do something productive, folks.
Do something production. Underwater basket weave is pretty good too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so Andy, I mean, are you ultimately going to be watching the clips, or do you get your sunglasses, or what?
So we do have glasses here. It's tricky because you can't sit there and like unless you're taking the day off to stand and stare at the sun, waiting for this moment. So my theory, my approach here, Dave, is I often like to work outside on pleasant days in the afternoon and just enjoy being outside on my porch while I work. And so my intent is to try and do that this afternoon so I can kind of keep tabs. And when the moment is right, don my glasses, stare at the sun. Great U2 song, Dave. Staring
Oh
at the
yeah,
sun
staring at the
and
sun.
and take it in. So I'm hopeful that the weather cooperates. The next time this comes to North America, 20 years from now. So a lot changes in 20 years. A lot happens in 20 years. Do I
Wait,
get
wait, this doesn't
grounded?
happen every millennial, Andy. This is a frequent
Well, I
thing.
mean, this one is ushering in the end of the world, so realistically, we're not going to be here for the next one. But theoretically, according to quote unquote science,
Yeah,
there's going to be one in 20 years, and yeah, so I think it's cool to take it in while we can. So I'm hoping to, but for all I know, I'll start writing something and lose track of time, and it'll be 5 o'clock.
yeah,
How about you?
damn
Are you
straight.
gonna take it in? Do you have your glasses? Are you guys ready to go?
I have to do some job interviews today, Andy. So I will be sequestered in some office building, rolling through candidates for potential, not even a job on for my team or anything like that. It's just so yeah, I'll be stuck inside somewhere and without windows, I'm sure.
Well, I'm sorry for all those being interviewed because you should take your anger out on them and not hire any of them for ruining your day by making. If you're interviewing with Dave in the 1:30 to 3:30 hours, sorry.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a tough one, Andy. So, okay, Andy, let's moving on from that. Let's transition to some sports because it was a huge sports weekend, Andy. There was one, you love my love for lacrosse. I'm wearing my Carolina Chaos
Yeah.
PLL shirt today, but my love for college lacrosse, a lot of great college lacrosse games this weekend. That's getting excited. We had the NCAA tournament. Shout out to South Carolina, my son's alma mater,
Right.
for winning the girls or women's national championship. That's their third since 2017 in 2 and 3 years. They beat Caitlin Clark in the Iowa team. And Caitlin Clark is now going to go into the professional ranks where she's going to make more money than she made in college, I would imagine,
Think so.
even though she probably signed some pretty crazy lucrative NIL deals, whatnot. So, did you watch any of the basketball, Andy?
I,
And then we
I,
got
I,
the
ju- I just saw clips. I was
yeah,
actually driving around yesterday during the game, so I was getting a billion alerts that South Carolina won. So I was keeping some tabs before the game, see what was going on, and saw some highlights after. Exciting stuff. Exciting stuff.
yeah, it's good for them, and it was just really good narrative for women's basketball. I think you have another dominant basketball team in South Carolina, going back to those UConn days, and then you had a very good player in Caitlin Clark. And I think a lot of these teams, you have 3 or 4 year players who, you can hate or love or cheer for over the course. And that's where I think the men's game is really struggling. It'll be interesting to see tonight with Purdue versus UConn. I think UConn's going to take this one, Andy, but we shall see. I mean, our little poll that we have, you and I and some others, I think depends on whether,
Yeah.
Purdue wins tonight or UConn. If UConn wins, I think I take it. If not, then somebody else is going to take it. So interesting time for sure.
It's one of the fun things I think about this, Dave, has been all the tension around South Carolina head coach Dawn Staley. She's had quite the career,
Yeah.
professionally, the Olympics and the WNBA. now coaching. She brings us this a fun, she's very sort of colorful on the court, right? I think she was in leather earlier this week. I mean, people like love
Yeah.
to rave about her, and it's fun to see that kind of. Then college basketball, I think, has a long history of like fun coaches, sometimes fun in a good way, sometimes fun like Bobby Knight in a chaotic way. But it's fun to see people. I think there's been more attention being paid to women's college basketball this year, perhaps in the men's. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, UConn's going to win, but the women's has really been garnered a lot of attention, excitement from players to coaches. That's great for women's sports. I think to see that there can be really good sports, really fun individuals. I think that's a huge win. What a great success this year for everybody. Kind of sad for Caitlin Clark not to get her championship, but she's going to be just fine. So good, congratulations to the Gamecocks for the big win.
Yeah, so here's an interesting question. Don Staley brought up a comment during like the pregame or like the in between the Final Four and the championship game where they talk about Caitlin Clark. And look, Dawn Staley has had a remarkable career. She was a starter at Virginia for, I think, 4 years. Then she went on one NBA, WNBA championship. She won Olympic gold medals, and now she's coaching, and she's won 3 championships there. They asked her about Caitlin Clark and whether she was the GOAT, and the greatest of all time, and or a goat, and Don Staley said, yeah, I mean, she's definitely one of the greatest, but in order to be the greatest, you really have to win a championship.
Yeah,
And she referenced some of the UConn players, Brianna Stewart, for example, who I think won 4 national championships and was the MVP on all 4. And is she not the greatest because she has the greatest resume overall, even though Caitlin Clark has got all the personal scoring records and everything like that? Where do you come down on that? Do you need to win a championship to be considered one of the greatest? Charles Barkley famously has never won a championship, but he's roundly recognized in the top 20 of NBA players of all time.
yeah.
Where do you fall down on that?
Well, I think, Dave, I think if you ask any longtime Detroit Lions fan that question, the answer has to be no, because Barry Sanders is certainly one of the top running backs of all time. And if you ask me and many others, he is in fact the greatest of all time. A term we use maybe too loosely these days, but he is genuinely in the contention for one of the best. And he never won much of anything with the Lions, right? I mean, reality, he never did. So I think it definitely bolsters your case. I mean, when you have those rings, I mean, look, Tom Brady, in my mind, is not the greatest quarterback of all time, but those rings allow him to be considered as such because he won more than anybody else. And so, in that sense, he is right now. Is he athletically the best? Is he the most talented? I just don't think so. I think there's many others that are better QBs than he is, but he got it done. He won, and so I think he can make the case for somebody. But I don't think you have to be. I mean, I wouldn't put Charles Barkley in that category. I think he's great, but I don't think he's among the best of all time. But you look at the guys in the basketball history that are. I mean, LeBron wins, right? Magic won, Michael Jordan won, Larry Bird won, right? It helps. It helps, but it's not absolutely required. At least not for Barry Sanders.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting when you put the greatest of all time. It's so hard because like the only thing you have to compare it against is championships, right? That's the only thing universal. But
Yeah,
even that is kind of based on the era, right? The era that you're in, that the way I would agree, Tom Brady's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time because of what he's been doing. But if he would he have played in the '80s when Joe Montana was getting like brutalized every week,
yeah,
or the quarterbacks were getting late hit? I mean, they were getting crushed all the time. Wide receivers going across the middle were getting decapitated.
yeah,
It's a different football game than it is now, where any little grab is a 5 yard, 15-yard penalty. Any little touch on a quarterback is a 15-yard penalty. It's different, right? And so, but that doesn't take away from those individual accomplishments. So that's where I think it's just hard. Like Tom Brady stood out over those 20 years in his era, right? I mean, he won 7 Super Bowls. If you flip Joe Montana and Tom Brady, which I think arguably the two people argue about all the time, right? I mean, would that
yeah.
happen? I think it's the same thing in any other, like Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. LeBron's been to 10 championships. He's won four. Jordan was 6 for 6. I mean, it's just different. And you
Yeah.
can't really compare the two. LeBron has had a longer career. So I find these arguments to be, I guess they're fun, but people get so upset about it, and I just find it to be an interesting conversation. But Caitlin Clark, for bringing it back to her, she had a great career, and she's going to have a great WNBA career. She's going to obviously be in the Olympics and such, but
Yeah.
fun for her. Congratulations to her, and congratulations to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Andy, did you watch any wrestling this weekend?
Dave, I knew you would be. I didn't. I don't keep up currently as much as I love old wrestling. I don't watch the current one. So WrestleMania 40, right? I mean, the big event of the year, the annual extravaganza with the return of The Rock. What happened? What's going on?
So okay, so this has been a lot of fun because again, my daughter and I'm going to blame the public school system for my daughter getting into wrestling because they have these books to read, and she started reading books about Brock Lesnar, and look, Brock Lesnar's got his own legal problems right now, but there were books written about him. So she starts asking me about it one day, and I'm like, sure, we can watch wrestling. And we had Peacock for some reason I don't know, and of course Peacock's got the wrestling, all the wrestling pay-per-views and such. And so we just started watching one like a year ago, a little over a year ago, and and I said, let's watch it. And she really knew some of the players and or the wrestlers from these books, and we just started getting into it. Now my daughter's a big in karate, so she loves beating up on me every day with testing out our moves. But we started watching it, and earlier this year in September, I think it was September, we went to the event in Charlotte, and we
Nice.
had a great time. But this was WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. I don't know why they did it outdoors because it was freezing the first night, and it was pretty good last night. But it's wrestling is now a 2 day event. WrestleMania is so big that they have an event on Saturday night and an event on Sunday. And so the big story was The Rock came back around the beginning of the year just because he is on the board of directors of TKO, which bought out WWE. And so he came back in here and there. He'd show up once every couple weeks, and he'd do his rock bottom move on somebody who was talking out of their ass or something, and then he'd go away. Well, they started this storyline with him going against Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns had been the champion for 4 years, and so they had this Rock versus Reigns thing that was supposed to lead up to um, the WrestleMania. The problem was is that Cody Rhodes, the son of legendary, Dusty Rhodes,
Yeah.
the American Dream, won the Royal Rumble, and he got to pick who he was going to fight in WrestleMania. So decides he's going to fight Roman Reigns. Well, The Rock announced that he was going to fight Roman Reigns, and everybody went outrageous on it, and they said, no, 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 we want Cody. And it caused Rock to become a heel and join Roman Reigns, the bloodline, as they call themselves, because The Rock and Roman Reigns are, biologically connected. They're cousins,
Yeah.
and so they joined forces to take on Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. And so it was a fun weekend. There are a lot of great matches. My daughter and I watched it as much as we could Saturday night, and then we had to watch Sunday night or watch Sunday morning the replay. And then last night we watched most of it last night, but we did not watch the main event. So I'll have to provide you a recap. But they did an interesting thing here, Andy. So Saturday night, they made it a tag team match between Rock and Roman Reigns versus um, Seth freaking Rollins and Cody Rhodes. Depending on the outcome of that match, both Cody Rhodes was going to fight Roman Reigns, but it could have been no rules or it could have been no interference. So The Rock and Cody Rhodes, well, they battled it out, and ultimately The Rock pinned Cody Rhodes, and so it's going to be a no holds barred. They call it bloodline rules for the main event last night between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Now I know who won. I'm trying to save it for my daughter, so she doesn't win. But it was the completion of Cody Rhodes' story, and he ultimately did win. There was a surprise in there though, because John Cena made a reappearance as well. So fun, wrestling's been fun this year. They've integrated some pretty cool storylines. But it was a fun night, a fun couple nights for us to watch.
It sounds like I saw one. I think Cody Rhodes, Dusty Rhodes was such a colorful character. When
Yeah.
we were growing up, right? The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and so kind of cool to see that legacy, and you see that in wrestling. You see, I mean, The Rock himself is legacy wrestler, right? So it's fun to see that tradition continue, and folks pick up that role from their parents and continue that. And it is some of these athletes have stayed very active and healthy. The Rock and John Cena. People are wrestling longer than they did before. Being able to stay athletic and able to do the incredible things they do in and out of the ring. So it is cool to see that continuity and getting these big name stars to come back and perform and be part of events like this because WrestleMania is just a huge thing. And then it brings in so much fun stuff. And I saw just like scanning news over the weekend. I mean, Jason Kelsey, right? Pops into
Yeah.
WrestleMania, right? And
Yeah.
and it's fun to see stuff like that, right? So here you are in Philly, and you've got two Philadelphia Eagles jumping into the ring. It's just like they put on a great entertainment spectacle, and that's what people want to see, and it's fun, and it's goofy and harmless, as a kid you get into it, and you want to drop the big elbow on your friends and family, like it's just fun.
Yeah, I will tell you, I think the days of when we were growing up where people actually did believe it was all real and everything, and I think that has largely been pushed aside. Now, look, I do think there's a lot of kids who watch, and my daughter, one of them, who was very upset with The Rock beating up Cody Rhodes as like he did, and like attacking him behind the scenes and all this other stuff and whipping him with belts. Like there's a lot of stuff where kids do get into that because there is that they're not sure if it's real or fake. I think she knows that there's a lot of this is script, like somewhat scripted.
Yeah.
But then you see something like there's a lot of real, like these are really they're athletes. They're
Oh yeah.
not. I mean, they're not faking some of these hits and such. I mean, it is a lot of real work. Now the outcomes are scripted, of course, to some degree. But I was fascinated. I was watching some of these things on AMC's got these WWE rivals and WWE biographies. There's a lot of stuff where these like when Hulk Hogan went bad, there was a lot of discussion even up to the minute where he turned heel. They didn't know what he was going to do. It was
Yeah.
up to Hogan to decide whether he was going to go heel or not, and they would have changed the storyline then around that. It was the same with this with the Rock thing. Is the Rock was not intending to go heel, but because of the outpouring of support for Cody Rhodes, they said they shifted. They made a
Yeah.
whole pivot on the
Yeah.
storyline. Now, that doesn't mean that The Rock, you know, didn't hit Cody Rhodes as hard as he did, or they didn't do all the work that they were supposed to do. It just meant that it was entertainment. So
Yeah.
to your point, it's fun. It's been
It
fun.
is fun. And I think that flexibility, and the sort of if you suspend some of the you know belief and just have fun with it, just enjoy it as entertainment. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't know what's going to happen next. And yeah, again, regardless of what you think of the entertainment portion of wrestling, the absolute incredible athleticism of some of those performers is unreal. like look at a guy like the Undertaker, right? Just a massive dude who was so agile in the ring, walking along the top rope. I mean, they're phenomenal athletes and entertainers. It is really fun. I commend all those, the males and females that are out there taking a lot of hard hits, one way or the other,
Yeah.
and putting on a great show that the world loves to watch. So it's fun.
All right, one last story related to this, Andy, and unfortunately, it's a little politics related too. The Rock was embroiled in some other controversy this weekend when it came out that he said that he was not going to endorse anybody for president this year. Now, famously in 2020, he came out in support of Biden and Harris, that ticket. Now he says that was a mistake. And that's all people are capitalizing on. Up by, The Rock is admitting that he voted for, like, was supporting Biden. No, he's saying it was a mistake because it created a lot of division in his choice. And by doing that, he is some support. Some people were upset, and it wasn't about the candidates or the politics or anything like that. It was more about the divisiveness. And so he said he's just going to keep it to himself, and he's not going to choose publicly announce support for anybody or another. Andy, is this fake outrage like we've seen, or is there anything real to this?
So sadly, I think the outrage is genuine. I mean, I saw some of the comments. I think people are genuinely upset that he's not coming out endorsing Joe Biden as though he has a duty to support Joe Biden, right? As if that. Listen, one, I think it's actually rather commendable for those in the spotlight to say, "Hey, rather than divide people further, like I'm an entertainer for all Americans, regardless of your political beliefs, religious beliefs, or whatever beliefs. I'm here to entertain you, to give you a show, and I want your support in that, right? They want to make money off it. Why would you ostracize, up to half of your support to make a political statement that honestly, if you're voting for a candidate because The Rock or Taylor Swift tell you to, you are not thoughtfully voting, in an election, right? Like you should put more thought into it than some public figure's recommendation, right? That should not be your influence. So I don't care who The Rock wants to vote for. Like that's his personal decision, and he's there to entertain the masses, and he shouldn't ostracize us. But it's like people are waiting for Taylor Swift to come out and endorse Joe Biden. If she doesn't, people will flip their lids, right? And
Yeah.
Joe Biden is not entitled to Taylor Swift's endorsement or The Rock's or yours or anybody else's, right? You have to earn it. And if people don't feel like it's in their best interest to give it to you, leave them alone. Leave them alone. But it has been incredible to see people go nuts. The Rock has turned to the right. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. So I think it's pretty sad and miserable that people feel like if you're not supporting my candidate, you're un-American. That's baloney.
Yeah, I mean, I've never understood this whole celebrity endorsement thing is
Yeah.
as if they have some sort of insight that anybody else doesn't have. And that's just, look, I mean, if you're vote, I agree with you 100%. If you're voting for somebody because of who Taylor Swift told you to, or Dwayne Johnson told you to, or better yet, any celebrity, George Clooney, then what are we, I mean, what are we really doing? I mean, you should probably lose your right to vote because you're not taking that. It's a huge responsibility. And
Yeah.
look, does The Rock, did he put time, thought, and effort into his endorsement of Biden last time? I'm sure he did. But did he do any more than what we should be doing? Absolutely not. And I think that's how we should look at our votes. And we should do the research and to find out who is the best candidate for us, and not based on what celebrity told us to, or what song they're playing at somebody's campaign stump.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that's just I look at this outrage and I'm like, this is just ridiculous. I mean, he did it on Fox News, which of course means that he's going to the right. That means he regrets his Biden decision. It's just ridiculous. So,
I think he's trying to appeal to a part of
I,
America that he wants their vote in the wrestling ring, at the movie
yep.
theater, with his drink. Like he wants to get people to buy his products. That's the vote he's going for, and he's absolutely right to do that. Like that's what he should be doing.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. It's a look at what The Rock is doing. He's got professional football. He's got his wrestling career. He's got the health and beauty products now,
Yeah,
which
of
still
course.
crack me up. And he's got his tequila, which is like wildly popular. And if he's gonna make a political decision, again, we've talked about this on the security side a lot of times, Andy, on those other podcasts that we do.
Yeah,
But it's mindfulness. It's like if you're going to choose to do something, hey, be fair and understand that. but also understand the risks that come with that. And I think this is a risk-based decision for him. And
Yeah,
I think, why ostracize half the population? So
yeah, that's right. And, we should be able to put aside our political issues and just enjoy
what?
wrestling. I know it's crazy, right? Like we should be able to watch football without getting freaked out about what song is being sung before the game. We should be able to, like that. Those are shared experiences that make us Americans. We can say, look, we have different political beliefs, religious beliefs, whatever beliefs. But we can come together and enjoy things together. And I kind of, I commend The Rock for saying, kind of like supporting it, like, hey, come enjoy a night of wrestling. Set your personal beasts aside, right? I mean,
Yeah.
just enjoy being in America, the great spectacle you're about to watch. Like that's a good thing.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. All right, Andy, we went a little over our time, our normal time today, but it was a good start to the week. Good topics, Andy.
Welcome back, Dave. You were missed.
Well, thank you, Andy. I missed you too. So, all right, I did have my OnlyFans account I could go to, so I could always see who enjoyed me. So, all right, Andy. With that, I'll catch up with you next time.